joke's on me. I work too hard and I lose my shine from chasing down every goddamn dime. Don't you know the joke's on me? 'Cause every door I kick down leaves me limping towards the promise of the good. And every ceiling shattered leaves broken glass together where I stood. It's coming on strong, it's coming up sorrow. I lose every day to tomorrow. Just try and make me play. I ain't your dog and I won't sit, won't stay. 'Cause when you hope it hurts, when you hope it hurts, when you hope it hurts sometime. When you hope it hurts, when you hope it hurts, when you hope it hurts sometime. I'm not so damn naive.
There you are.
Hi,
Rachel Baiman
how's it going?
in the flesh. Well, in the virtual flesh. Look at you.
In the Zoom flesh.
In the Zoom flesh. Look at you. Oh my God. So great to catch up with you, Rachel.
So great to see you too. Thanks for
Absolutely. Illinois legend, Nashville-based shining light, man. Yeah, dude.
Illinois legend. Oh, cool. I love your marquee back there.
Oh, yeah, well, we had to spruce it up for you, of course.
So cool.
Oh my God, Rachel. But yeah, you're such a creative soul. You're a fiddler, you're a storyteller, and, we're celebrating your upcoming album, Cycles, which is coming out like on June 11th, in like a week from when we're recording this.
Yeah,
How
it's so
exciting.
cool. I'm so excited. I recorded this album in 2019, so it's been a long time.
Oh, wow.
coming. Yeah.
Okay. So you've been like just kind of sitting on it?
Well, there was a long period of mixing and then there was the pandemic. And so I was like sort of changing record labels amidst all that. And because of the nature of how the industry was hit, it just took a really long time to get it rolling.
Yeah.
So I'm on a new label now, Signature Sounds. And yes, it was just the right time to put it out. So
Is that weird, Rachel? Like maybe you get like, I don't know, a song like No Good Time for Dying or When You Bloom or whatever. And like in this time, since it was ready, maybe you get new inspirations, new ideas about the songs, but the songs are kind of like already baked. Does that happen?
yeah, it is weird, but for some reason, I think because of the nature of the material on this album, it was a little bit lucky. I mean, No Good Time for Dying has only felt more relevant, all year long. And a lot of the songs are about my family members, and those feel pretty timeless since I think if I had been playing them out the whole time, I think I would have felt like I was they'd had their life already. But since I wasn't playing any shows, I do feel like it's the first time that they're getting in the world. So I think it was pretty lucky. If it was a different album, maybe it would have felt like it had missed its moment.
Totally, Rachel. And funny you mentioned performing, because I was thinking about that the other day, looking at your touring schedule. I mean, you played last week with Molly Turtle in Virginia. You're playing June 12th at City Winery here across the street.
Yes.
And and then it's on to the races, basically. You're playing in the UK in September or like October or something like that.
Yeah.
You're like not stopping. Is that a little bit like jarring? Is that like a little bit weird, going from like 0, not playing a show in a year and a half, to like 100? Or are you just like ready to go, man? Like, this is who I am.
I'm ready to go. And I was like just saying yes to everything. So excited. But I will say that I just got back from my first tour, and the one with Molly, which was 6 shows. It was a great tour, like no complaints at all. And I was just completely destroyed after that tour.
Really?
I slept for like 20 hours. So I do think I'm a little bit out of shape in terms of like the emotional output of performing and like being vulnerable on stage and then talking to people after and like having that whole experience. It is so intense. And I think I was in a place where I was really used to doing it 4 or 5 nights a week, and I didn't need as much recovery time. And now I'm like, oh man, I need to like work back up to this. So hopefully by the end of this year, I'll feel like I'm in shape again. But it's definitely going to be a little jarring, I think.
It's interesting you mentioned that, Rachel. When you are an artist, people assume when the show's over, like you guys are over, but like you still have, obviously you talk to fans, maybe you talk to
Mhm.
people like me or whatever. When after a show, Rachel, are you finally like, do you like relax and you're like, okay, I'm off, like
It's
I'm done.
usually when, everyone's gone and we're just packing up the gear and cleaning up the venue,
Yeah,
packing up the suitcase. That's kind of the chill out
that's
time.
the chill out time. Cool, I love
Yeah.
it. I love it, Rachel. And speaking of last year, you're such an introspective person. I had to ask you this. What was not serving you before the pandemic that you no longer carry with you, like in your,
Yeah,
as a human, as an artist, whatever?
that's a really good question. One thing that it really got me thinking about was I think before the pandemic, I took shows so seriously and I felt like I could never cancel a show. So because I felt this sort of like obligation that, people had bought tickets or were planning to come. And so I've done shows with like the stomach flu, throwing up before the show. And now, I mean, after going through the experience of canceling everything and rebooking things and people getting really used to schedules changing and things going up last minute, I feel a lot more like there's a priority for, physical and mental health. And I think next time that I'm severely ill, I will probably go ahead and cancel a show and not feel bad about it,
Right,
because
right.
it's been shown to me that, it is okay to do that. And there are things that are more important
That's wonderful.
than a show, even though for me, it is one of the most important things.
Rachel, it's so great that you say that because, you're just getting started and you're going to have a long career. And we saw Tom Petty in his last tour and he couldn't move. He couldn't move. And I was like, man, he doesn't look okay. And, a couple months later, of course, he passed and it came out that he didn't want to cancel. He didn't want to let down his fans. So he started taking a
Yeah.
bunch of painkillers and whatnot. So, dude, your health above anything else. We need you rocking out for a long time. So cool.
Thank you. That's so sweet. And I do feel like I have that mindset, the long career mindset, and I want to be doing this for as long as I possibly can. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's important to.
Amazing, Rachel. Well, listen, we'll get to the new songs in a second, but I have to talk about their past for a minute because it's fascinating. There's so many aspects of it. But like the Illinois State Fiddling Competition, which you are a champion, which you were a champion. Like I just thought that was the coolest thing. Like, how was that competition? Like, just take us like a little bit inside the curtain. Is there like pressure? Is there like rivalries? Like, what is like the background of these things?
Oh yeah, it's totally one of those weird little subcultures that they could make one of those comedy documentaries about,
Yeah.
Um, like fiddle contests, it's definitely its own little world. And that was something that was really cool for me to be part of as a kid or like as a teenager more, I guess, because I grew up in Chicago, like in the city, and I didn't like playing fiddle was not part of my normal day-to-day life. Like I went to public school and I listened to like hip hop and R&B and nope, I didn't talk to any of my friends about fiddle. It was like I had a double life, because it was
Yeah.
just so uncool and so unrelatable for everyone that I was hanging out with. So when I went to these contests, which were more like rural parts of Illinois, and I was lucky because my parents were willing to like drive me out there before I could drive. And that was where I could meet some peers, that were also kind of nerdy fiddle people like me. And so I did have my like friends that I hung out with and met up with at those contests. And I had my kind of little rivalries with some other people my age. It was pretty friendly. I mean, honestly, it's not that serious of a scene in Illinois. Like it's pretty small. So
Right.
it's mostly at like state fairs and things like that. So it was more of just like an interesting cultural dichotomy than like something really intense, but it did give me a good kind of little friend web to and like people to aspire to play like and things like that. So.
Yeah, fascinating. That's so fascinating. Rachel. And, and it's so cool that you mentioned your parents because not many people don't know this, but you were raised with human consciousness in mind. Like
Yeah.
you attended the Ethical Humanist Society in Chicago every Sunday.
You've done your deep research. Yes, I
Oh
did.
man, like your parents were like, all your parents are like, when people are like, dude, people need to know everyone loves Rachel Baiman. Like everyone, and like, where does it come from? Where does it come from? From your parents?
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
It's like
My
salt of
parents
the
are
earth.
awesome. They are awesome. They're not like that, I guess there's normal in some ways and very abnormal in other ways. Especially my dad. I think my dad grew up kind of between countries. He grew up partially in Israel, partially in the US. And so I think he has a very global perspective on the world.
Yeah.
And my mom had a really like rough childhood, a really traumatic and abusive childhood. And I think that she's just probably one of, but maybe for that reason, she's like the most empathetic person that I have ever met. And so
It's beautiful.
I always kind of grew up around those different perspectives, which I think was really cool to have that.
Totally. Totally. Especially in a city like Chicago that is so beautiful, but it has so many layers of like light and a little bit of dark beneath. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, it's a definitely a very intense city, I guess. In some ways, there's a lot of problems that people kind of ignore. And there's
Yeah.
areas of the city like I grew up in Oak Park, which is on the west side, and it's like, my house was 2 blocks from the official city line, and I could take the train from my house to downtown, and there was whole sections of the city between my house and downtown that are just like rundown factories, and it kind of looks like an apocalyptic factory neighborhood, and that hasn't changed the whole time since I was 4 until now. Those neighborhoods haven't changed. I think some of them maybe are changing now, but nobody really talked about that. Or, well, I guess people talked about it, but it wasn't, I don't know, it was sort of just a given that we all just lived with.
Yeah, totally, Rachel. Okay, let's talk about a few of the new songs. I mean, I want to ask you about your grandmother, and the reason why I ask about your grandmother is because "No Good Time for Dying" is such a powerful and beautiful song, Rachel. I mean, just the way that you created this, 3.5 minute song or whatever, where it's like a tribute to her independence, to her fortitude, but also a little bit of like, death, like, and that
Yeah.
awkwardness around it. Like, tell me a little bit about her and that whole song because it's beautiful.
Thank you. I love talking about my grandma because she was such a huge character in my life. Definitely a loose cannon. She was always kind of yelling and saying really inappropriate things. Like, you never knew what was going to happen. I have this amazing memory of her coming to my college graduation here in Nashville, and I went to Vanderbilt as a very kind of like fancy people's school. And so everyone's families were all kind of like very tidy and fancy, and my grandma's out there, and like she just gets hammered. She starts chugging the little champagnes that they put out, and then she starts doing the can dance and like yelling, and it just made me so happy because it's like she just didn't care. Like, she didn't care at all about those kind of like fanfares or social graces, which was a problem sometimes, but it was also very liberating, and I loved it about her. So her, when she was kind of starting to like have her like physical health decline, it was so sad and hard to watch. And I guess like we all want to believe that we're going to have this nice ending, and like sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. And
Right.
it's just one of those hard realities of life, which I wish there was more of like a silver lining to that song, I guess, but it's more of just an acceptance to me, like, of that reality, and that like it doesn't always finish the way that you want it to, for yourself or your loved ones. So
Exactly. I think it all comes down like in the East, in Japan and all that, like they just look at death so differently than us in the West.
yeah.
And that's where the pain comes from.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I know that there is a lot of work to be done here. I mean, I guess I don't know as much about all of the global traditions, but here I think there is like a serious avoidance of old age, even, like with kind of the idea that older people live separately in like sort of a nursing home environment. And so it's almost like we just kind of hide it away, and we try to like pretend it doesn't exist. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Amazing. All right, I could talk about this for hours with you. Like, okay, When You Bloom, amazing song, Rachel. I'm fascinated by the creative process of a song like this, especially with you playing the fiddle, because the lyrics and the fiddle are so amazing. What comes first? I mean, it's the cliche question, but because it's Fiddle, I find it fascinating. Like a song like this, do you first come up with the lyrics and then you create around it, or vice versa?
Yeah, so I almost always write lyrically first. And this song was one that I worked on with Olivia Halley, who co-produced the record with me. And I had written all of the lyrics to all the verses and the pre-choruses, which is kind of like, where are you going without me, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I had played it on guitar. Like I play a lot of guitar when I'm writing, more so than like fiddle. I don't usually write on, I kind of add that later.
Sure.
But I do feel like I struggle to write melodically in a way that I would like to incorporate melody more at the front end. And that's something that Liv is really, really strong at.
Right.
And so I was lucky, like I showed her that song. I was like, I have all of this song, but like, I don't feel like it's really popping yet. Like it's melodically, it feels boring. And she was like, well, I have this melody that I've been playing with. And it was the melody for that chorus, which is like such a beautiful melody.
Yeah, stunning.
And she sang the melody and the words just came like boom. And so it was like one of those amazing collaborative things. And I feel like there's a lot of melodic moments on this new record that I really owe to Liv, because that's really what she was able to bring that I can never, seem to get. And I hope through working with her that I will have absorbed a little bit of that melodic prowess. So I always try to like work with people on records that I feel like I can kind of steal some secrets from, because it's like a way of getting some mentorship,
Absolutely, Rachel. Well, Rachel, you've been so great with your time. I want to let you get on with your day, but I do want to play a little game with you, if that's all right.
Okay, sure, yeah.
The game is called Flip the Tune, and the rules are very simple. We play 3 clips of your songs, 10 seconds only, but in reverse.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Okay.
And what we want to, the only thing we want to see is like, how well do you know your songs? Do you know them well enough to know them in reverse?
So cool. Okay.
That's the gist. Okay, so are you ready for the first one, Rachel Baiman?
I'm ready.
Okay, and don't just don't, you should see the results we have here. It's like catastrophic. Yeah. All right, here we go. Flip the Tune with Rachel Baiman. Let's go.
This isn't off the new record, is it?
No, it goes back. It goes back. Yeah. I just gave you a hint. Madison,
Tennessee?
It is Madison, Tennessee.
Yes.
Oh God, okay. Unbelievable. Look at you. Okay. That's great. You already did better than like 50% of the people. You're already ahead of the curve. All right. Flip the Tune with Rachel Baiman. Here is the second one.
That sounds so cool. I like want that clip. That's amazing. Okay. Are you including any 10-string symphony songs in this?
No.
Okay. Is that When You Bloom?
Yes, that is When You Bloom. Unbelievable. Great. You played it like you didn't know it there.
No, I heard like an electronic sound and I was like imagining it might have been one of those sound effects.
Pretty amazing. Anyway. Amazing. Already a passing score. Now you're just going for like bragging rights at this
point. All right, here we go.
For the perfect score, Flip the Tune with Rachel Baiman. And away we go.
Oh my God. I think that's something off of Shame. Is that Never Tire of the Road or Shame, or is it Shame? Final guess. What is it?
Which one's your final answer? Which one's your final answer? Which one is it?
Oh, can I hear it again?
Sure. First, this is the first time we ever do this, but yeah, you're cool. We love
Doesn't
Rachel
got to be
Baiman,
right.
so
Okay.
we're breaking the rules for Rachel Baiman here.
Okay, that's shame, I think.
That is shame.
Yes!
That's shame.
Oh!
3-3. Unbelievable. What an
Okay.
year.
Amazing. Okay.
Rachel
Yay.
Baiman, you have said it all. You gave us some great insight into the album. You made us laugh. You made us think, and you got 3 out of 3 and flipped the tune. What a great guest.
Thank you so much. It's so fun talking to you. Thank you, Jamie.
Absolutely, Rachel. I'm sure we'll cross paths sometime. And congratulations on the album. It's gonna be a huge success.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.